everything. We talk
Yeah.
about it and say, why do you feel like
Would
that?
you ask them where they heard it from? If they were told that at school, would you be comfortable?
Because they could be told that in a playground, they could be told that anywhere.
Yeah, but if the school that acts in loco parentis on your behalf,
I would talk about it with them, yeah.
Okay,
I
but you wouldn't say who told you that.
No, I mean, if they were teaching my children, obviously, to be racist or to be sexist or to be
Homophobic or transphobic?
And yeah, they were treating my children,
So
teaching them that, and I'd have a problem.
So you would
if
have
they're telling them to be
what
open
about
and
if there
love
was a
whoever.
child at your child's school? Because we're chasing the argument, and it's good where we're going with it. If your child from the school said there was a child in my school who said that men can't be women and women can't be men, would you have an issue with that?
I would just explain to my own child. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have an issue with what he's doing separately, but I'd say to my own child, well, we don't believe that as a family to be true.
All right, but that person's entitled to their point of view.
Yeah, you're always going to come across
Okay, all right.
people.
You wouldn't call it homophobic or transphobic.
I would just, well, they're too young at that age to have that opinion's coming from their parents. That's not
Okay,
coming from
because
them.
you just mentioned too young. Do you think 5-year-olds who... Tell me what a 5-year-old is allowed to do in society. Can they smoke, drink? My daughter can't even have a cup of tea in Costa, and she's 16. Because the society makes the judgment that this child is too young to know what. So you're saying a 5-year-old is old enough and mature enough to make the decision on what gender they are. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that a 5-year-old may come to you with the question, and you need to be open to that questioning. I'm not saying that they are able, at 5-year-olds, not at all, to decide a lot of
Well, you know, this is really interesting because I agree with you. 5-year-olds aren't old enough, mature enough,
But you should still
or
be
have
open
life
to a
experience
conversation.
to actually make the decision that could then move them straight. Because at 8 and 9 in America, if a child is presenting as the opposite gender, they will be taken to a doctor's and they will be given hormone blockers in preparation to having then at the age of 16 sex change hormones, and then they're going to go through and have an operation. So if an 8 and 9-year-old is old enough to make a decision to have
I don't necessarily
hormone
think they are.
blockers, do you think they should have the right?
I think as a family and with your parents, you would, your children, I've got 3 children who are so different, 3 very different children.
Yeah.
And you would take it on that child and what they're saying,
Maybe
how
this is a
mature
generation
they
thing,
seem,
because
how
I
they
agree with you. But the younger people, see, what do you think?
I mean,
Do you
they're so open to it.
exactly.
He's 16.
Generation.
And you know why? It's not by accident.
He
It's because
teaches me most of this,
because my daughters are 21 through to 13. I don't know how old your son is.
16,
You're 16.
11.
Okay, I've got a 16-year-old daughter. Now you're being educated in a different philosophy to the education that we had, which, broadly speaking, when we were younger, still had a certain religious ethos. It had a certain moral compass. But you're brought up now under a totally different philosophical mindset. So when it comes
the world's
to
a different place,
I think it's
because you're
wonderful. And he
seeing
teaches me
everything in
just-
the world now.
He teaches
I think with
me
social
so much
media and all of
about
these
it.
kind of things,
you don't just see that blink of your own town.
I mean, he
For
has
sure.
got people that turn up, he's got people in his school, they come to school as a boy one day, a girl the other. It doesn't blink an eye. And that's so amazing, that generation. And yes, I'm obviously 40 plus, and it might
Yeah,
not
and the
something
older
that-
you go to the
might cross
generation,
my mind and thought,
it's-
but he'll chat to me and say, well, what is the problem with that? And actually,
Well, I'll tell you a problem. A problem would be if you decided tomorrow that you were actually a girl and you wanted to shower with my daughter. That'd be a big problem. They wouldn't be able to say that he couldn't.
Especially at 16, I don't think. Obviously, I know I'm not a woman. I know I'm a man.
There are 16-year-olds who do say that they are women.
Oh, we've got friends. We've got friends who are going through that as well.
So never
Yeah.
say never. Have you explored very deeply? Have you actually
can
gone
say at the
through
moment,
the discernment?
Yeah,
you
he
might
can
be a
say-
woman. You
Well,
might
he
be
can
a
say,
girl.
though, at the minute, he
you
doesn't
can't
feel
say
like that.
no, but that's
that's
he
his-
can't box himself in. He doesn't know
He's
how to
not.
box
boxing
himself.
himself
No,
and
he's
saying
just
You
who
saying
he
could
is
now,
right
he's
now be a
saying.
girl trapped in a man's body.
You
could be.
Obviously, you feel like a man in your body. You know you're comfortable in your body.
Things change.
Whereas other people may not, and other people all their life. That's why obviously the suicide rate is much higher in transgender teenagers.
So are you saying that you can't be a boy born in a woman's body? You can't be. You never can be.
I never said.
I'm
I
saying
never
But I'm asking you, can you?
I
Could
said-
you ever be a girl
I said,
in a boy's
I
body?
know that I'm not.
Now,
So
there's no way you're ever going to be a girl.
No, I don't think so.
You're as bad as the classroom.
No.
What
I was trying to do. No.
You're
What I'm
saying
trying to
maybe you
do.
couldn't
No, because what I'm saying, we seem to have our absolutes, but they spring up when we don't, how we want to play them. But my point was, there are situations where there will be a young man of 16, let's say physiologically just like you, who comes to school in the morning and says, I'm now a girl. And then you could say, I want to be in the girls' track team, I want to play in girls' team sports, and I want to shower with the girls. Now, you realise we live in a climate now where, as a society, there's no way they can shut the door on.
No, but
Now, I've got a 16-year-old daughter, and there is no way that I would feel comfortable with, not only just you would say, I'm using you as a hypothetical case, okay? Not only because you would probably outcompete all the girls, which is going to be a huge, great problem when it comes to the Olympics and all of these things. All the top female athletes are going to have penises. They're going to. This is just the way it is. All mediocre men athletes will then opt for the women's team. But have I the right? Yeah, have I the right to say?
I think that's very closed off view.
Hold on. You seem to be someone.
I'm nearly there with him. Then we'll come back.
What you say is not true.
What is it true?
Because you basically just done a trajectory of the future that, as you pointed out, there's just been a ruling about testosterone on the current Olympic. They basically said, if you have more than a certain amount of testosterone levels in your sample, then you're not allowed to compete. And that's what they've done to Caster Semenya.
Just be gauged on that rather than gender.
She's now.
Can testosterone be lowered? I mean, I want to be educated.
Well, that's part of the question. They're saying,
and if it
She
can be
was on
lowered, does the
tablets to
muscle
reduce
mass shrink?
testosterone anyway.
so they're saying if you take the testosterone reducer, then your level goes down. I think what they are saying that then they might consider allowing you to play.
Yeah, but she refuses to do it. That's what she
Okay.
decided to do.
But the interesting thing is, does their physiology change if with their testosterone going down?
Yeah. So I think.
I don't think.
No, I think.
Their muscle mass and bone density doesn't change.
I think you're right in terms of the last thing I saw. They said there's a correlation between high testosterone and high muscle, but that doesn't mean that the testosterone actually causes it. So you can have all of that and then take it down. Just like people that get done for drugs and steroids and then afterwards they play again.
You know what, to cut long story short, because I appreciate the patience you're having with me, and I suppose what I round it up with is this: have I the right, as a father of a 16-year-old daughter, to say I don't want you to be showering at school with my daughter if you tell me that you're a woman?
You don't have the right to tell him, but you have the right to
I
tell
don't
your
have the
daughter.
right to say you
have
can't
the right
come
to tell
in.
him, but you have the right to tell your daughter
right
that
to
she
tell
can
your
go
daughter
into a
she can't shower.
cubicle.
See, this is what I don't know.
She can
This
go
is what I
somewhere
don't.
else.
Why should a woman be forced to go somewhere else? Women have fought
Thing is,
for
nowadays,
years, have safe
in
spaces,
schools
and
nowadays,
if men want to
they're
come
all
in,
unisex toilets.
No, showering. I'm talking about the
Family
showering.
changing
No.
It's all just going that way.
Showering at school, right?
You don't really shower together anymore. That's a bit of the 60s
So
where everyone
no
was
one
together in
showers
a
at
shower.
school
People
after
don't
they-
really shower like that anymore.
They don't.
all shower separately.
Okay, what about
Nobody
do
wants to be
women?
showing
Do
their
girls
bits.
have
Boys or girls
do
each
girls
other.
have separate changing rooms?
I don't know when they changed that, but it wasn't changed when I did it.
No.
People also have, there's a set of disabled changing rooms and different changing rooms that they can choose to go in. So we have transgender
But if they didn't want to, they could stay in and just change. They could change in the girls' changing room.
I don't think they would. People, because of people like this that are being uncomfortable with it, I don't think people would feel comfortable in doing that because there's issues like this.
No, but what you just said is an answer I'd heard before, where they say if a girl is uncomfortable with a man changing in their changing room, they should go off to the disabled toilet. I've heard that before. If they feel uncomfortable with it, the women should go. No, the women should
You're
go.
not taking into consideration how uncomfortable stuff like this is making the transgender people, because it's always them that go off into the disabled toilets.
Why don't they find a gender neutral place? Why do they want to?
That is that.
Yeah.
What's the
Okay.
is that?
Yeah, exactly. It's minuscule. Oh no, it's a growing. It's a growing.
0.5% of the population.
Yeah. But they'll change every single rule just to fit
So
in
we've
with
got to
this.
fit into 0.5%.
I think we just need to be.
That's the point. Them changing rooms aren't fit into it. They're going off to a separate place in a separate room.
No, they're not.
They are.
Legally,
he's 16
legally,
and
We've
he's...
got to move.
yeah. Legally, there's no way I could stop him coming in. And
But he's 16 and he's with a lot of people like that, and
In my
they
school, the
tend to
transgender
go...
people go off because they don't feel comfortable in that toilet because of.
I wouldn't feel comfortable.
They go.
For my job,
Yeah, they go off into a separate changing room.
that's fine by me.
Yeah, it's not them.
So you wouldn't want this woman coming into your the toilet. See, this is it. See, I would say that this chap here, right, who claims to be a woman, yeah, I know, I've got to be careful here. Yeah, this person who is built and their DNA and everything else is masculine, but is in fact a woman. If he, you know, I appreciate that.
Anyway, thank you
there's
so
a lot
much.
of dignity.
Love to everybody.
Yeah. But you just said to me you would never be a woman. Never say never.
Well, I know I'm not.
He's already got a strong woman in his life. Right, see you later.
Okay, yeah. So